The plan is that the entire nation will be an interconnected web of decentralised generation systems that can operate, feed into each other or operate in isolation. And while there's a great commitment to renewable energy, Cuba is very limited due to the blockade in its capacity to actually instigate a lot of that. And they have got one modest wind farm, but it's very difficult because some of the key components are made in the US. And the blockade is very real. And just a few days ago, there was another company fined, a French company, for providing, I've forgotten what equipment it was, to Cuba. That it was stuff that was manufactured in the States, it was exported to France, and then from France it was supplied to Cuba. They got fined $10,000. 3 weeks ago, Philips, the Dutch company, got fined $130,000 for providing medical equipment that was manufactured by their Brazilian subsidiary in Brazil, but because Philips has got 20% of Philips is owned by American companies and investors, it's illegal for them to trade with Cuba. So, I mean, this is what the nation's got to contend with. There can't be any US dollars used in any trade. So, and no banking institution that has any relationship with an American bank can trade with Cuba. So there's only a couple of Swiss banks, and I think there's one financial institution in Canada that have no direct financial relationships with any American banking institutions, and these are the only ways that any money can be exchanged with Cuba for any sort of trade. And so, I mean, these are huge impediments that impact on Cuba's capacity to trade and interact with the rest of the planet. It's not just a US thing. It's a society of frugality. Wages are capped, so $15 to $35 a month. $35 a month is what a doctor or a professional, an engineer or whatever would earn. There's free health and education, subsidised electricity, telephone, gas and water. There's the monthly rations of rice, beans, milk, 1 bar of soap, terrible, horrible government soap, and restricted availability and prohibitive cost of consumer goods, appliances, tools, etc. I mean, disposable income is virtually non-existent. It's people live very, very simply. And this is the typical home of a Cuban professional. And usually the water doesn't actually, they don't have enough water pressure to run a shower, so it's bucket showers in the bathroom. Probably the flush, there's not enough water pressure for the flush system to work either, so you've got to lug bucketfuls of water in to flush the toilet. Life is very, very simple. Very simple. Just the basics. On the left, this is another home, and the rest of the house is pretty similar to the photos on the right. But here you've got a very highly paid computer technologist, the sort of person that would be earning probably $2,000 a month in the US. Oh no, 2,000. 10,000, 2,000 a week. He's actually the highest paid in his the organisation he works with, and he gets $45 a month. All his colleagues are very jealous that he earns so much, because they get 35 if they've got a degree, a tertiary degree, 25 if they're ordinary workers. The dual currency is very interesting. There's the national pesos. People get their wages in that, and with that they pay their rent, their utility services, they can buy bread, fresh food, pay their public transport, things like that. Then there's the convertible currency, or cooks they're called. And so one cook is equal to 23 national pesos, which is approximately equivalent to $1. And you need the convertible currency for processed foods and imports, imported foods, for appliances, and luxury goods like alcohol, soap, shampoo, toothpaste. Now, it's really hard to comprehend. So I've sort of tried to relate this all to something we can actually relate to. So, say, like the Australian pension is $1,000 a month, $250 a week is the Australian pension. Now, pensioners really struggle in Australia to live on the pension. But if we said that was equivalent to the average Cuban income of, say, 20 cooks or $20 a month, and the cost of goods in convertible currency as they were in Cuba in May 2008, this is the prices that we would be paying, okay? So we'd be paying $40 for a packet of spaghetti, if we're looking at sort of equivalent income. We'd be paying $50 for a can of beer. We'd be paying $65 for a bar of Lux soap. I mean, wouldn't our consumption patterns change? $107 for a litre of milk. $250 for a 1 pint bottle of olive oil. Between $200 and $350 for a bottle of wine. $1,200 for a cooking pot, stainless steel. And 5 months' income for a wheelbarrow. Now, if you were paying prices like that, I think you would start to very quickly reduce your consumption to that very close to a single Earth footprint. And David Suzuki has been saying for many years that we're only paying 20% of the true cost of our food. And there's so many hidden subsidies, there's so many hidden incentives for our overconsumption, which is what drives the whole machine. The machine of our economy, or economies, and the machine of destruction for planet Earth. Anyway, back to Cuba. Well, these incredible resource constraints give rise to amazing ingenuity and innovation, and people just make things last forever. The food production is pretty amazing. And, you know, there's the urban gardens. We've got Angelo's rooftop garden here on the bottom left. He also has a rabbit farm on his rooftop in Havana where he produces 364 rabbits a year and feeds them all on food scraps from his neighbours and weeds harvested from open space. With the agricultural systems, the government has introduced numerous land reforms and encouraged small farms and cooperatives. And what they've found is that small farms are by far the most productive. Small farms that occupy 11% of the land are actually producing 80% of the food.